I'm still thinking about what I'm going to talk about. I hit the record button again. Not entirely sure what I was going to talk about. And I was going in the direction of the last few months have been probably some of the hardest. And I'm not entirely sure why. Part of it is the hormones. It is once I start looking like a girl and that sort of thing, and I have to go out in the public. I don't have to wear this shirt when I go into public. I could wear a different shirt, but these breasts are they're not easy to hide, and of course I don't want to hide them. But even if I were to go out in public wearing a shirt like this, which I can do, I still feel just the kind of like, oh my God, like this is embarrassing, so that's, I don't want to say that's what's made it difficult, but that certainly contributes to it, especially when it's just constant. It's like every day I have to go out in the public. Oh, that's not true. Not every day. There are days when I can just sit here in the bus the entire day. But most every day I do interact with one person or another. And usually it's somebody that I don't, it's like a cashier at a store, somebody I don't have a connection with or anything like that. So it's almost always like strangers, people I don't know that I'm involved with. I do interact with people I know, but that seems to be the minority, right? When I make some money, when I start making some money, I will get a new wig. I realize that I've been wearing this same wig for pretty much every video, and it is looking haggard. But at the moment, I'm making coffee, so I may get up here in a second, and because I do pour overs because I'm poor. I don't have a coffee maker here in the bus, and even if I had the electricity to run it, I don't know if I would want to use the electricity to run a coffee maker. So living in a bus, electricity is a precious commodity. A lot of my time is kind of about or spent getting electricity. So currently my car battery is charging up here at this shop over here. And I don't know if you can see it, but over there, I don't know if you can even see my finger. I'm not sure what I'm pointing at. I'm using the mirror now to look at the bus mirror. There's that little orange thing sitting on top of the air conditioner or a heat pump or whatever that is. I'm not entirely sure what that is. The HVAC unit. That is a little battery bank that I have plugged into it, a Wi-Fi booster. So I'm using the Wi-Fi from that same shop over there where that red car is parked. The Wi-Fi in there is coming out here, but it's not strong enough to reach all the way out here, so I have a Wi-Fi booster kind of in between there, and I'm using a little battery bank to power it. So that's another one of those things where I have to keep that thing charged. So probably tonight I'll go take that down and go plug in that the battery bank somewhere. Of course, I might take it with me when I go to Starbucks today to work on my homework. But anyways, I'm getting a little bit off topic, but I didn't really have a talk planned. So yeah, it's time to go check the coffee. Uh, if I know I've already shown you how I make coffee, but it's basically like this. I boil water. My thing broke off. This little, I buy these things at Walmart. The little whistle. This thing that makes it whistle when the water boils. It just broke off. I guess it was just, there's just a little bead. This little bead right here, I guess is where it was welded. It just snapped off. Anyways, so I'm making coffee. Maybe I should buy my kettles somewhere besides Walmart. I don't know. Is there a place to buy kettles that don't fall apart? They actually sell a different kettle, so I could just try the other kettle. I think this is the third time I've used this kettle. So I can only pour like half a cup at a time of water. So I've already poured half one cup and I just poured the second. So I think part of it also is just not having a place where I can go be myself. Like there's no environment here where I can go and just and feel like, you know, it's okay to be me here. Like I don't have like friends here that are trans or anything like that. And I do have acquaintances here who are okay with me being trans, but the relationship is just not the sort of thing where I feel like I can just call them up and be like, hey, I need somebody to hang out with, you know, that sort of thing. I mean, I probably could. I could try it, but that's not. I just don't feel that kind of. Sometimes I just want almost like a shoulder to cry on, kind of thing, and that's what I'm getting at is that's hard to find, at least where I'm at, anyways. It just seems like most people here are just very dismissive, kind of. They don't really. If you start talking about like emotional stuff, people are like, ugh, get that out of here, you know. Be a real man. Or even women are like that sometimes, you know. It's not the be a real man, but it's like you got to get out of your emotions and don't be in your emotions and stuff like that. And I'm like, no, I want to be in my emotions. I want to get through this. I don't want to be carrying this around for the rest of my life like some of these people here. You know, I don't want to have to drink every day because I don't want to get into my emotions, you know. Isn't that why people drink? They have emotional stuff they don't want to deal with. They don't want to have to cry on somebody's shoulder. They're just like, fuck this shit, I'm gonna get fucked up. You know? I don't know. So that also makes it difficult. But at the same time, it's like it's not necessarily the people that are making it difficult. It's more that I want something and I can't get it from them, or maybe I can and I just don't know how. Or maybe I should just try harder. But then the other side of that is, I don't know that I need somebody else. I don't know that I need a shoulder to cry on. I think it might be possible to deal with some of these things on my own. And that means, for me, like not drinking, right? So that's also been one of the challenges. So I don't mean to criticize people who drink, because I'm in that same situation where like probably the last year was a time when I probably should not have been drinking at all, just because of the difficulties with work. I have not had a steady job for the entire year. I'm sorry. It's 2023 currently, February 2023. So, but pretty much for all of 2022, from the beginning of 2022 until now, I've had like 5 different jobs. I'm having trouble finding jobs. Like I went to a warehouse to apply for work. I say it that way because this is hopefully my tone of voice gets across what I mean to say, which is that this is a place where I'm overqualified to work. This is a place where they should be happy to have somebody like me. They wouldn't hire me. And so the point that I was getting at, I'm not entirely sure why they didn't hire me. I don't know if it's because of my job history. I don't know if it's because I have boobs. I didn't wear the wig when I went in for the interview. I don't know if the wig, this thing is such a nuisance. Like I wouldn't work in it. Even when I'm working around the bus, I don't wear it. But I didn't wear it. I wore just a red. I don't know what they're called. The thermal. It's like thermal underwear. The shirt. It's like a red thermal shirt. And khaki pants. And that was it. And shoes and socks, of course. But no makeup, no wig. And so when they didn't hire me, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And that's another one of the things that is kind of making me kind of get into this kind of just depressed, kind of like the world doesn't like me kind of thing, because it's like I have going all the way back to like say 2016. So for the last 7 years, I remember applying for a job at McDonald's in 2016, and they did not hire me. The manager told me they were hiring, and I'm like, if I can't get hired at McDonald's, there's a problem. And it's been that way pretty much ever since. You know, like I've applied. I remember when I moved to Atlanta. I got into the CWT program at the VA hospital, which is the program for veterans. It's called CWT, is compensated work therapy, which is the VA's way of helping to support veterans who have barriers to getting employment. And basically that just means they put you to work and they pay you, but you're not actually an employee of the government. You're considered a patient who is being compensated for their therapy. But as a requirement for doing that, you have to put out applications constantly. Like you have to go to these. You have to meet with the case manager in a group setting and turn in like all of your application submissions and things like that. And you have to do like 10 per week, I think, or something. And I was doing it, but I wasn't getting anything back. And I know that people have said that, I know, especially since applications have switched to the online thing, where it used to be, you know, you go into a store, like a grocery store, and you ask the manager if they're hiring. They say, we are. Here's a paper application. Fill it out and bring it back. And you go out to your car with the pen. You fill it out and you take it back inside. And they're like, all right, you're hired. You know, but now it's where like everything. If you do that, they say, well, you go to our website and put in an application. And 10 times out of 10, I don't get the job. Doing it that way. So I don't know how much of that is because of that switch. Because I have heard people say that they have the same problem. I've heard people say things like, I put out 50 applications and didn't get anything back. I didn't get hired at Walgreens for the cashier job. I didn't get hired at McDonald's. Starbucks didn't hire me. I did get hired at Starbucks once. But then since then I've applied to work with them twice more, I think, since then. And one of those times I missed the interview, but the other time I don't know what happened. think it was an issue with the interview too. So yeah, I can't really count that one. Let me go check on my coffee. But what is hard is a lot of times seeing myself actually look like a girl. It's like a lot of times I get scared. And I'm like, oh shit, what if I really am a girl? So I don't mean like I really am a female. But since I've started this whole thing, I've been in this kind of back and forth mode where it's like I'll see myself as a girl and I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. But then, I go out into public and I'm a man again. And that kind of worked for me. It kind of worked, but there was always this kind of like I feel like I haven't dug deep enough yet, and I still feel like I have further to go. Is that not kind of pretty? Kind of pretty. See, proof of my alcoholic drinking. Those bottles have been sitting there for months. I left them there because I like the way they look. It is a little bit dirty over here. It's a little bit dirty, but the flowers, I'm not sure what the flowers, I put these here where everybody could see them instead of back here in the back of the bus where I spend most of my time. I don't spend most of my time up here in the front. I'm actually here to make the video because of the light, right? I don't have any light back there, so I could still make the video back there, but yeah, I think that's the hardest part of the whole thing. Still, and a lot of that is just still dealing with things like the role of the woman. This was something that I talked about in a video a long time ago when I talked about I think it was the internalized misogyny, when I was talking about whether I had it was something like internalized transphobia versus internalized misogyny, where it wasn't so much the idea of being trans that bothered me, it was more the idea of being a woman that bothered me, which is to say that if it were the other way around, if I were a woman who was trans, I don't think I would have the same aversion to it. And I think for a lot of people, it's the same way. It is, like for my father, for example, if I were a girl who wanted to be a man, I think he might actually be like, well, all right. So, for girls in the family, if they want to play sports or do manly things, he's kind of like, yeah, that's cool, But if I put on a pink wig, he's like, So, that to me is what I'm talking about, where it's more like, it's not so much the idea of trans that's the problem, it's the idea of a man acting like a woman that's the problem, because woman is not something that's you don't want a child who's feminine, right? That's what I'm getting at. When I say you, I don't mean you, but I mean people. A lot of people don't want that. But one of the things is that I do feel like I am starved for femininity. That is kind of what I was going for before with the shoulder to cry on thing, which is something that I associate with being feminine. Uh, I was thinking a couple days ago about there was a story that I read about the Prophet Muhammad and his. I don't know what it's called in Islam. I don't know if they call them disciples, but essentially, Muhammad had disciples also, or he had, I guess, students, whatever you want to call them. But his topmost disciple, his topmost companion, maybe is a better word, was a guy named Ali. So Muhammad and Ali were buddies, and they were close. I'll put it that way. I think it was a teacher-student relationship, but they were close, right? So because at least in the story they are, because in the story, the Prophet Muhammad is sitting on the ground, like with his legs crossed, and Indian style, whatever you want to call it, the yoga pose. I don't know what you want to call it, but Ali was laying on the ground with his head on Muhammad's lap. But that's not the point of the story. The point of the story is that as they were in this position, I guess Muhammad caused the sun to stop in its motion in the sky, and Ali's looking up at it saying, "Oh my God," you know. But the interesting part of the story for me is that Ali had his head on Muhammad's lap, and I'm like, where is that relationship? That's the relationship that I want, right? I'm like, where is Muhammad when I need him, right? If Muhammad were here now, I'd be like, I'll be your disciple. Just let me put my head on your lap, you know. But I also think of that as a feminine thing, right? Like that's just not something that guys do. Uh, you could say the same thing about Jesus, right? With the whole thing of washing his disciples' feet. Uh, I don't know how there's a lot of businesses here that are like male dominated businesses like the house framing and the landscaping or whatever. And I don't know how it would go over if the leader of the company, the head of the company, they were having a get together and he said, "I'm gonna wash your feet." Uh, I think a lot of them might be like, "Ugh, no, thank you. I don't want somebody to wash my feet." But that's, I mean, it would be nice. It would be nice. I do have a friend who I think if he said, "Oh, I want to bathe you," I think I might be like, "All right, sure, yeah, you can bathe me." Uh, I don't know if that would be considered a feminine thing, but I do feel just starved for just this feminine kind of I just want hugs and kisses kind of thing, I just want to I don't need it all the time, right? If I were to go work for a construction company, I don't need hugs and kisses from everybody there, right? But I think this is maybe this is why men marry women, is because they need it too. It's like they have to deal with other men all the time or whatever. I'm doing this because I'm pointing at the shop what I just pointed out before, where you have a pool installation crew of all men, and it is that type of environment where this isn't a touchy feely place. This is we're Rambo's here. You got to be tough and pick on each other, and uh, if someone appears weak, you got to laugh at them. I imagine that's probably why they're when they choose a partner, they choose a woman because they also need that too. They also want that space where it's like, I just want soft kisses sometimes. I want some. I want to feel something soft and warm and not aggressive and not not coarse. I want something like a nice soft wet vagina. Is that what I'm saying that I want? I don't think that's necessarily what I want. Uh, do I just want to be friends with a woman? Is that all I want? Uh, I do see women sometimes, and one day when I was buying alcohol, I went to the ABC store and I bought a bottle of whiskey. Uh, I bought it because my tooth, that was my thinking anyways, as this had gotten infected. I thought what I'll do is I'll just buy whiskey and just swish it around, you know, constantly, right? Take a swish it around, swallow it, wait another, minute or so, take a sip, swish it around, swallow it. So I got shit faced drunk. Anyways, I bought it from a woman who was, she was like she was, I don't want to say the closest thing to like an archetypal woman, but that was kind of what I saw. Was I looked at her and there was something inside me that was like, you are a woman, you know, like you're a real woman. You're not a girl. You're a woman, and you're not a woman. She just had this, like a lot of women that I see seem to just not like being women, or they're just. I think so many women that I in this area. I think a lot of this is just the area. Uh, I think there's a lot of pessimism here and that sort of thing, and I think I'm gonna expose my own kind of misogyny here, but shit rolls downhill, right? So if men are kind of pessimistic, then it rolls down to the women. Uh, and I say down, not necessarily to say that women are beneath men, but because I do have this kind of this is one of the issues that I have, like with being a woman. Not saying that I am a woman, but if I were, if I were to like wake up one day and I look down and I have a vagina and I look like a woman, I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be like woohoo. I'd be like, oh shit. Uh, this is gonna be like going into battle. But the whole thing of shit rolling downhill, that's kind of I get the impression from women that a lot of the women that I meet are just kind of in pissy moods. Uh, I shouldn't say pissy moods necessarily. They a lot of times they might be just a pessimism, or they're just scarred, and they kind of just in the kind of way of they don't seem happy, you know. Uh, but they give me the impression. The impression that I get is that the quality of a woman's life is dependent on the quality of men around her. So if the men around her, a woman, if they're all shit, then the woman's life is shit, right? And that's kind of what I'm getting at here is like with the women that I meet is that it just seems to be like they're in this kind of just shitty state of existence, and it's because the men around here are just they're not They're nothing to write home about, you know. I mean, it's I shouldn't say nothing to write home about, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, they drive me nuts, you know. I see some of them together sometimes. I listen to some guys talk sometimes, and I think how do you, I don't, it's no some of them, well, like, if they can't keep a girlfriend, I'm like, it's no surprise you can't keep a girlfriend. Uh, but I seem to see that here more than other places. So I don't know if it has something. I think this place was ranked one of the worst places to live in North Carolina. So yeah, most of the people that I know that I've met here, I met through at bars, and most of them are drug users, and which that in itself is one of the reasons why it's hard to find people to connect with. All right, because it is difficult to connect with people who are using drugs to get through life. But where was I going with this? Yeah. But I do. There are times, sometimes when I look in the mirror, or and I see myself looking like a woman, where I see something that I would describe as feminine, and I feel like I have been starved for this. I have been looking for this for a long time, and sometimes that scares me because I get this. What follows that is I need to share this with other people, right? But I don't want to be that woman, right? I don't want to be the woman who is soft and sweet and wet and all that stuff with these guys who, that, you know, nobody wants to be with because they're so coarse. I shouldn't say nobody wants to be with them, because many of them are married. But uh, I'm comparing this place to Atlanta in my head, because in Atlanta I did see a lot more men who were kind of the type that I thought you would make a good husband. You know, I imagine some of those men that I saw in Atlanta. I imagine that if they had wives, I didn't see their wives a lot of times. Sometimes I did, but I just remember thinking, you know, I bet your wife is a happy woman. So I don't like that idea. I don't even like saying that. I don't like the idea that a woman's happiness is dependent on her husband or the man that she marries. This is one of the issues that I have, right, with the idea of being a woman. Uh, I never really felt that way, like when I thought of myself as a man dating girls. I never thought, if I'm unhappy, it's because this girl that I'm dating is she's a piece of shit. I might be unhappy with the relationship, or maybe things that she does, but I don't. I dated women. I don't remember ever thinking or feeling like my unhappiness is her. Uh, yeah, and I don't remember thinking that my unhappiness was because of her, or that the reason I was unhappy is because there's no good girls around, right? This is the sort of thing I would hear from women in the past. You can't find a good man around here. No shit, you know. Uh, I think if I were going to look for a good man, I wouldn't look here. But you know, I'm here because I'm fucking broke, and what does that show you? You know, if I could afford to move somewhere else, I would. So, You know, and who wants to date a broke tranny who lives in a bus? I imagine there's quite a few girls who might date a broke tranny who lives in a bus when they see that that I'm bona fide. I might be broke, but I'm still bona fide. I am referencing "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou." That was one of the funniest scenes in a movie that I think I've seen. I shouldn't say that because it wasn't like knee slappingly hilarious, but it was just so. That was just one of those things where I was like, "Who says that?" Bona fide. He's bona fide. I don't know why I find that funny, but I think I just never heard it, or just the way the girl said it in the movie. Uh, I don't know. I thought that was funny, but yeah. So I might be broke, but I'm bona fide. I'm not entirely sure what bona fide means. I mean, I know what it translates to, because bona is good, and fide or fide, I think it's pronounced fide in Latin, or fide is faith. Is that right? Good faith is what it means. Uh, but if you say something is bona fide, I'm not entirely sure what that means. It's legitimate. Is that the same as saying legitimate? But legitimate is equivalent to the saying that it's legally authorized. So I think that's kind of how bona fide is used, right? It's like legally authorized. I don't know. It's a bona fide document. A bona fide dollar bill. I don't know. I don't know what that means. Good faith. Uh, so I don't know if you can tell, but my life isn't all that difficult. I am in the doldrums, so to speak. This, as my friend put it, in the sense that I still feel the need to get drunk from time to time. I do feel sometimes defeated, especially when I get negativity from family members. Uh, uh, Negativity, or the message that I am not important, that what I want is not important, and that sort of thing, and or that almost like they're trying to make me less than. That It's like I'm one of the untouchables in India. Uh, what's that caste called in India? I know that in English we call it untouchables, like the lowest caste in India. They're called untouchables because they're so like disgusting. It's like, ooh, I'm not touching you. I'm kind I don't know what it's like to live in India. I'm kind of glad that I don't live in India. I don't like the idea of my parents choosing my spouse for me. I don't like the idea of a caste system. But I don't know. I mean, I think if you're transgender in India, I think you might have it better than trans in Salisbury, North Carolina. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. When I say they have it better, that in India, they typically have groups that is headed by a guru, a group of trans. So they call trans Hijra, which is not doesn't mean trans. Hijra means It comes from the same word as Hajj, which is the journey that Muslims make when they go on their pilgrimage to Mecca. It's called the Hajj. So the Hijj in Hijra is a related word, and it basically means somebody who leaves their society is what Hijra means. Someone who has left their society or journeyed from their society, which I think is appropriate in a way, because every trans person has their Hajj, right? Some might say that the transition is the real Hajj. I don't know. I've heard that before, that religion is a just one big allegory for transgender transformation. Where if you look at Jesus and washing his disciples' feet and Muhammad having Ali's head on his lap, that might be a good case for for transgender behavior being the point of the of religion. But yeah, maybe one day I'll write a blog about how religion implores men to be more feminine. That's kind of the idea, the point. You know, like Jesus says, "Blessed are the meek. Blessed are the poor in spirit." I don't know if being poor in spirit would be considered feminine. I'm not even entirely sure what that means. But like the whole thing of, turning the other cheek. If a person strikes you on one cheek, turn the other cheek so they can strike it also. That's kind of more feminine behavior. Are my teeth getting yellow from the coffee? I mean... So one of the things that helps though is making videos. It's like journaling. But I think I like it better than journaling. Just because I've been, if I were to sit down in a book and try to write out all the stuff that I just said, that would be a pain in the butt, I've been talking for like 42 minutes, and if I were to do that in a journal, I mean, that would be several pages. Plus, it takes time, right, to write all that out. It takes time to write all that out. So this is, I would say this is a superior form of journaling. Is it time to get off? So my deal that I made with myself is that I would make my first cup of coffee in the bus, boiling water with my broken kettle. Of course, it's going to be broken when I take it outside. But the deal was that I would make my second cup. I haven't built my stove outside yet. So I got a bunch of thrown away pavers. So a paver is just like a brick. It's used for making like sidewalks or decks or things like that. It's basically the same thing as a brick. But they come in different sizes, dimensions. I don't know if I'll show it to you. Maybe I'll show it to you. So I have my little space where I sit over here. Almost never. So I have my fire pit, and then these are the papers that I got to make a stove, so that I can boil water and cook, and not depend on propane for all my cooking and heating needs. I don't like being dependent on propane. For one, because it costs money, and two, because it stinks. Propane is it's a disgusting, of all the ways to heat a place, it's the least pleasant that I've ever used. Just because of the smell, the inhaling the fumes and stuff like that. I have not found a good solution for heating the bus yet, so what looks to be the best solution is a wood stove. But I don't know if you saw it as I was walking out, but I had a wood stove in here. A little tiny wood stove. You see it over there in front of the van? I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know what you're looking at. But you see how small it is? It was too small to heat the bus, so I don't know if I can send it back. What I may do is put it back in the bedroom, the very back room, and see if it'll heat the bedroom. Another reason I don't like it is it smokes so much. You open the door to put wood in it, and the bus gets full of smoke. But I don't know. I think maybe it's either a bad design or because when I ordered it, I meant for the. I'm not gonna get into that. Short story. I had the option of putting the chimney on the top or on the back, and so when I ordered it, I said I want the chimney on the back, right? So, but it has the place for the. No, I said I wanted it on the top, but then I put it on the back when I got it. And because it has spaces for both. So, but I don't know if that means they changed the internal baffle or what. I don't know. But you would open the door and that thing when it was burning, and smoke would just right in your face, right all inside the bus. Oh me. Excuse me. There is the hard part too is this inner conflict of wanting to make people happy, right? Like with my family, I don't like displeasing people, right? And this was one of the things that I kind of feared about being a woman, was that that being a woman means being a people pleaser, right? And being the submissive one, and that sort of thing. Because I do like to make people happy. But I don't like being taken advantage of, and I don't want to be in a relationship where I'm making someone happy and I'm saying your happiness matters to me, but when they're telling me my happiness doesn't matter to them, and doing things that to that effect, or like, for example, my family not inviting me to family gatherings and that sort of thing. Birthday parties, things like that. Father's Day, Mother's Day. I did go see them on Christmas, and that's because I brought the issue up with my dad, and he kind of tried to deny it, and he's like, "Well, I don't know what that's about." I was like, and I said something to him like, "So am I welcome at your house on Christmas?" He's like, "Yeah." And so I went there for Christmas, but then his birthday came around, and there was no, no communication. And so that, that's one of those situations where I'm like, well, you know, I know the Bible says turn the other cheek when somebody strikes you in the cheek, but my question is like, I need a good relationship, right? I don't think that pushing this relationship with the family is necessarily in my best interest. But there is that just kind of internal tug of war on that subject, whether I should, should I push that relationship. Not. People have told me not to. People have told well, what people have told me is that I should look for relationships outside my family. A friend of mine said that I need to find a new family, and that sounds appealing to me. But what is realistically what are the chances of that? Here, of all places, at least. I know one other trans person who lives here, and he has a house where he lives by himself. He's an older trans. I call him he because I don't think he likes to be. He didn't say anything about being preferred to be called she, and I don't really see him as a woman because he still basically lives as a man. He's a woman when he's in bed. I'll put it that way, according to him. Something like that. But maybe that could be something like a family. But I went over to his house, and there was just straight out of the gate. There was too much arguing. There was too much arguing about applying for jobs and drinking and things like that. And I just felt like this isn't what I'm looking for. So that's another one of those things too. Is like if I'm waiting for the perfect relationship, I may be waiting forever. And so that's one of the things that I'm currently kind of working on or grappling with is this idea of I may have to face the reality that I only have bad relationships to deal with. I may only ever have bad relationships, and so there's like the question of is it better to have no relationships than bad relationships, or like what's the what is the way to go with that? So I'm not necessarily looking for an answer from you, but that is something that I'm grappling with. I don't know how much of that is related to being trans. This is kind of how it's always been for me. I wouldn't say that I've always dealt with bad relationships, but I have dealt with mostly just unsatisfying relationships. I'll put it that way. Where I don't know. I was thinking about this the other day. Yesterday, I think, or just the day before. That I dated the girl for 4 years. It's the longest relationship I ever had with another human being, as far as like intimate, romantic, sexual relationship. The longest I've ever had was 4 years. But I never really felt connected with her, and it bothered me. This was in my early 20s, I think I was 22 when we started dating. Uh, I'm fairly certain just because I was 26 when I joined the army, and which I joined when I broke up with her, basically. Or I broke up with her when I joined. Better way to put it, but there's a pretty good probability that I unconsciously made the decision to join the army to get away from her. Consciously, I joined the army because of September 11th and because I was going down the toilet, right? As far as like drinking and drugs and things like that. With this girl that I was dating, we were both drug users. Her brothers were drug users, and they spent a lot of time with us. And so, like, me, her, usually one or both of her brothers and or their girlfriends just spent a lot of time just doing drugs and things like that. Things like that. I guess that's all there is, right? But drinking, drugs, that sort of thing. And my kind of self-esteem, my confidence, whatever you want to call it, my sense of being close to myself was just going down the toilet. And it felt like it's like I was getting further away from my own self. That being in that relationship wasn't making my life better, it was making my life worse. And it took me a few years to realize that. And it wasn't her. It wasn't that she was a bad person or anything like that. It was just that it was trying to get something that I wanted from that relationship and not getting it. It was almost like a constant failure, right? Or it was like a just like constant like, this isn't working, this isn't working, this isn't working kind of thing. I don't feel like it's like I'm trying to get like a certain connection. I don't know how else to put it. Maybe a certain level of intimacy. And I'm not getting it. I don't know what to do. And so my point there is that I think of myself now as better off without that relationship than being in it. There are times when I think it might be nice to have somebody to hug and that sort of thing, like I was saying before. But to be in that just kind of committed sort of relationship where it's like we're together, in a kind of monogamous way. I'm not saying kind of, but it was kind of just a monogamous sort of thing, where that just wasn't really adding to my life. It was taking from it, and it's similar to how I feel with my family. Right? Currently, it's just like it's like a drag on my life. It's not, it's like just you want something, and it is not. It's just repeatedly a repeating failure, like every day, right? A daily failure, where that's not a kind of relationship that I want, right? So this is sort of what I'm talking about, where it's for me, at least with that relationship, that one specific relationship, I feel like it's better to not be in that than it would be to. I can think of other girls that I've dated where I broke up with them because I just felt like I'm better off being alone than I am being in this relationship. Sometimes it's not that I'm not necessarily getting what I want, but maybe they wanted something from the relationship that I didn't want to give them, like marriage. I I broke up with a girl because 2 weeks into dating, she was like, "Can you see us being together forever?" And I said, "I don't think, I'm not looking to the future." I said, "I'm taking this one day at a time." And she got mad and called up her ex-boyfriend. So started telling him that she missed him. Like while she and we were in bed together. And so I just got up and walked out. And I don't miss that. I don't feel like I need to go back to that or like I made a mistake. I feel like I'm better off without that. I don't want to be hitched to somebody just to have a friend, you know? Oh, my hand is getting sore from holding the camera. All right. Well, it's probably time. I think I might have to postpone my stove building because I do have homework to do. Uh, that's another thing that's kind of weighing on me at the moment too, is the whole job thing. I know I mentioned I'm having trouble getting a job, but I'm currently like in school trying to learn computer programming and that sort of thing, IT related stuff, data analysis. Just yesterday I was learning how to use Microsoft Excel, their programming language that's built into it. I was using the new chatbot, ChatGPT, to teach me about it, and you can ask all sorts of questions. And I just feel like that's a pretty big mountain to climb. Maybe I could master one of those quickly. Like maybe I can master the Microsoft Excel fairly quickly. I don't know how many jobs I could get with just being an advanced user of Microsoft Excel. I don't know. But like the classes that I'm taking are it's basically the community college computer something class. It's, I guess, the equivalent of computer science, but it's like um, one of the courses is a Python course, another one is networking and security, another one is management information systems, which I still don't even know what that means. But uh, yeah, it's like, God, I just need to hurry up, you know, and get through this so I can start. I've never had a job where I made, a decent amount of money. I take that back. I've had a couple jobs where I made a decent amount of money, but not like what I'm thinking with the computer programming, right? Like I can make, depending on what I do, I can make upwards of 100,000 a year. So I've never made that kind of money. Uh, for most of my life, I've been paycheck to paycheck, and currently I'm not even paycheck to paycheck. Currently, it's like paycheck, weeks go by, paycheck, weeks go by, and it's like I have like $3 on me at the moment, and I've had and this is the same money that I've had for like 2 weeks. I don't mean I've had $3 for 2 weeks, but I haven't been paid for. It'll be 2 weeks in 3 days, something like that, 4 days. So yeah, I would say if you're trans or you're thinking you might be trans and you're thinking of going in this direction, my advice to you would be to set yourself up, you know, for a life that falls apart. So, like if set yourself up for not being able to go to your local place and get a job. Uh, Set yourself up for your family not supporting you or that sort of thing, and my goal at the moment is to get to where I can make money online. uh, I'm just about to the point where I could get a job like at a call desk. I do need the headset thing. Well, some of them require that. Maybe some of them don't require that. Currently, I would have to use my phone if I were to get a job like that, and most of the ones that I've looked at don't want you doing that. They don't want, because I would have to put people on speakerphone, and I don't know if you can hear the cars going by and that sort of thing. But anyways, uh, man. I think I need to do this more often. I think I need to do this more often. If you can't tell, I like it when my wig is over here like this. This is my preferred look, but it's mostly because of the wig. When it gets to be like this, and I see this thing kind of dangling like that, I'm like, that just does not look good. And it's the same on this side. I'm like, that, yeah, that just doesn't. This is why I don't wear the wig in public. If I am scared too, being scared is part of the reason. But if I had a nice looking wig, I don't think I'd have an excuse. For the videos, I don't really care. What is that about? Why is it I can wear the wig for the video but not to go out in public? Is that just my excuse? Is the truth that I'm just scared? It could be I'm just scared. Maybe. I feel like getting over my fear of being seen with breasts that's already enough for me to chew on at the moment. So, all right. I think I don't know if it's the coffee. Coffee sometimes makes me get into these kind of head heavy sort of things, because my brain just starts going off in a million directions all at once, and it's like and it just wears me down. Sometimes I feel more tired from drinking coffee than my friend sometimes talks about fighting dysphoria. He talks about the energy expent fighting dysphoria. And I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure if that like, if I'm fighting something, am I fighting dysphoria, or am I fighting am I fighting the truth of who I am? Am I like, no, I can't be a woman. I can't be a woman. I can't be a woman. Is that where this energy goes? Is that why, like, when I was dating that girl and we used to use drugs, a lot of times I would not have a good time. The first time I ever did ecstasy, I thought it was fantastic. But then there were times when I did it with her and with her brothers, and I just felt like a freak. And I would get into this same sort of thing where it's like my head just started to feel heavy, and it was almost like I was fighting against something, or I don't know what. Certainly, part of it was just trying to fit in. It was just the kind of like, I need to be acceptable, I need to be cool, and these sorts of things, and that seems to wear me down, which is one of the reasons why I don't like spending time with my family, because it's the same thing with them, where it feels like I have to act a certain way if I'm going to be here, and it's a weight. I mean, that's the message that I get from this, like not inviting me to family gatherings is if you want to be with us, you got to act a certain way. And I'm kind of like, well, then no, thank you. You know. And it for me, that's not the same as say like if they said, well, if you want to be with us, then you can't drink. It's not quite the same for me because that to me is, if I were an alcoholic, that might be a problem, right? And I mean, like, if I were drinking it every day and I felt like I had to be drunk just to get through the day, kind of alcoholic, that might be a problem. But for me, I've been in situations where drinking wasn't appropriate. I used to go to groups in Atlanta and, where I felt like, this is just isn't the place to be drinking. Like religious groups and that sort of thing. That, for one, I mean, if it's like a book study sort of thing, you don't want to be drinking and trying to get through a book study type thing. You'd never make it through. But excuse me. Uh, yeah. Uh, certain behaviors I don't mind modifying, just to be in a group. That's where I was going with that. Like if I went to some group somewhere, a church. I'm trying out a new church, and they say, if you want to be in this church, while you're here, you have to wear this hat. And I'd be like, yeah, sure, that's I can deal with that, right? Uh, but if they said while you're in this church, you have to act like a man, then it's kind of like I think I'm better off just not being here. Uh, this was another issue that I've had with work too, is where, just as an example, like when I was working for my father, there were times when I would have to go to a customer's house and to evaluate their property because my father owns a pool sales and installation company, and so before a pool can be installed, uh, someone goes to the property to look at it, right? Of course, you have to, even before you can even sell the pool, right? Because it may be that you can't put the pool in the ground. Uh, you because septic tank or things like that. Boulders sometimes can cause problems, but so that's what I was doing. I would go to a customer's house. I would talk to them about what they wanted, and where they wanted their pool, and I would look at their yard and that sort of thing. And this was a sort of situation where my father didn't tell me to act like a man, but it was one of those situations where I felt like this is not really the appropriate place for me to be asserting my gender. I'll put it that way. And I'm out of my own kind of like good business sense, maybe. I don't know if it's good business sense, but I just felt like I need to act like a man, right? I need to present as a man, and a lot of times it would make me anxious. I would be talking to these customers and just feel like I'm crawling in my own skin. Uh, and part of that was just the conflict too. And part of that was just the conflict of why not? Why not just let it out? Why present as a man? No. So yeah, but yeah, it 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 I it would. there may come a point, I think, where, like, when I went to my family's house for Christmas, like I just mentioned before, my dad's house, sorry, not my family's house, but I wore a woman's sweater and a scarf, woman's scarf, and but that was it. No makeup, no wig, nothing like that. They were okay with that. Of course, it might not have been obvious that it was a woman's sweater. I don't know. The scarf. I don't know. But if they said to me, if you want to come here, if you want to be welcome here, you need to act like a man. And then I think I would say no, thank you. I'd rather just not be there. So, yeah. Part of that, I think, is the discomfort, and then a part of that is just the uh, what's the word? The feeling of being essentially being told that what's important to me doesn't matter, right? Like if dressing as a woman is important to me, and you're telling me that I have to present as a man, if I say to you that this is somehow related to my happiness, right? That my life is improved, that I'm happier now than I was before, that I feel like I love myself more now than I used to, and you're telling me that you want me to act like a man, if they were to say that, then I would. It wouldn't be just the discomfort, but it would also be just that kind of statement that basically what you're saying is that what's important to me is not. It doesn't matter to you. My happiness doesn't matter to you, and you know, because that's how it is. Uh, and I've told them that before. And that's one of those things where when I feel like they're dismissive of the trans thing, or they're not inviting me to family gatherings, that's what I mean by dismissive. Like they're just saying that if you're going to act this way, we don't want you around. After I've told them, that I was miserable for my entire life, and I found this as like the closest thing to a way to happiness for me that I've ever found. Like the most healing experience that I've ever had was seeing myself as a woman, and like dressing up as a woman, putting on makeup, and that sort of thing. That was the most healing experience I've ever had. Prior to that, my life was just a kind of constant torture. And so, for me to tell them that, and them to act the way they have, that basically says to me that my happiness is not important. That what contributes to me having a good life, if you could take that away from me, you would. you know I am out of coffee, and that to me is also kind of one of the things where it's like, if that's how you feel, then I don't think I want to spend time around you, because for one, it's just not a reliable relationship in that case, right? Like, if you're willing to throw me under the bus, so to speak. That maybe that's not a good example of that phrase, but for use of that phrase, but that's about what it's like, being thrown under the bus. And then this is not a reliable relationship, but it's also kind of insulting, or insulting in the sense of being injuring. Like, it hurts. It hurts to feel like your family just doesn't, your happiness doesn't matter to them. And They might say the same thing about me. I don't know. Uh, my mother said that to me. Uh, she said that I was not concerned with that I didn't consider the pain of other people. So she didn't exactly explain what she meant by that. Uh, in the context of the conversation, I took that to mean that my actions are hurting other people, and that me, posting pictures of myself on Facebook or just going out in the public, in drag and that sort of thing, that I'm embarrassing the family, and that by doing that, that means I don't consider their pain. I don't buy that because I do consider it constantly. But it's one of those things where I feel like I have to be happy at some point. At some point, we have to kind of or I have to at least say my happiness matters to me, right? And to some degree, it matters to me more than this relationship. If what I'm doing is embarrassing to you, I'm sorry, but I'm not getting anything from this relationship that justifies me being miserable, right? I'm not going to be miserable for the rest of my life just to save you from embarrassment, right? Especially when you're telling me that my happiness doesn't matter. So that's I was going to make my second cup of coffee on my stove that I was going to make out here, but I've already finished my first cup. This was meant to be something that I did just to kill time while I was making my coffee. I didn't expect to be talking for an hour and 22 minutes. But the more I talk, the more I feel like I need to talk. So I don't know. Maybe I should stop it and maybe I should just go ahead and make my second cup of coffee now and then keep talking, and then I do have to do my homework at some point. Oh my god. Alright, I'm just going to stop right there. An hour and 22 minutes. I think people might see that and be like, I'm not watching that video. But if you made it to the end, I would say I love you. But it's a good chance I don't know you. It's a good chance. That, or you're somebody who I already have a relationship with, who I do probably love because we already have a relationship. But, alright.